You are listening to Best in Seattle Real Estate with host Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420. This podcast is for real estate agents. Tina interviews the best of the best agents in the greater Seattle market. Learn strategies and the mindset needed to be your best. If you're looking to take your real estate business to the next level, this show is for you.
Welcome to Best in Seattle Real Estate Podcast, sponsored by Hubbard Radio Seattle. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. My show is with real estate agents for real estate agents. My lineup is exclusive and reserved for the best of the best in the greater Seattle real estate market based on closed transactions in the last 12 months. If you are a real estate agent looking to level up your game, you are in the right place. My guest today is here to share what she has learned over the years that has taken her to the top in the real estate field. Now in studio, Sandi Tampa of Sandi Tampa Real Estate Windermere. Sandi, thanks for coming back in the show.
Hi, Tina. Thank you for having me. This is always so much fun.
So much fun. And before we get started, Sandi has closed 28 transactions in the last 12 months, and that earns her the title and industry leader. And she is here today to share her secrets to success, data provided and verified by MMI, Mobility Market Intelligence. Sandi has great information that she's going to share with us today. And before we get started, I would also like to give a big shout out to my producer over at Hubbard Radio, Benny.
Hi there, Tina. How are you? Hopefully you're having a good rest of your summer. I know I'm getting a little sad over here. It's winding down, you know.
I know it is winding down a little bit. It's been great, but hopefully we see a little bit more sunshine for a little while longer for sure.
I agree, but the best thing, hang on one second. Kids go back to school. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to talk about, oh my gosh, I'm going to start to tear up. That brings my granddaughter, they're getting her in preschool, and actually, long story, but short, they're living with us for about a year. So it's going to be really hard not having our oldest grandbaby in the house all the time. But anyways, well, thanks for that, Benny.
Sure.
So Benny is the best producer ever, and I could not do this without him. So just a big shout out again for him. All right. So I'd like to share a little bit about Sandi before I start my conversation with her. Sandi is a skilled veteran with 18 years of residential real estate experience. She is based out of the Bellevue area, primarily focusing on the Eastside. Sandi is highly accredited managing broker. She specializes in applying her local expertise and market knowledge to her business. Experience in negotiation and cutting edge marketing strategies combined with uncompromising integrity are the trademark of Sandi's service. Sandi has worked within every facet of the industry, representing sellers, buyers, and investors. Thanks to her loyal clientele, personal referrals, and repeat business, Sandi has a solid foundation that fuels her business in continued success. So, Sandi, first question I have for you this morning is, how do you deal with market changes? Because there's some market changes going on right now. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but how do you deal with those changes, constant changes in the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, so for me, I thrive in change. As much as change is hard and that sort of thing, but I don't think I would be doing this as long as I have if it was always the same. So the change is what makes it interesting and exciting. But I think the key when you handle a market change, and I've been doing this forever, so I've seen some things, and so I have the wherewithal not to be as reactive. But what I do is I dig deep and just really try to get data and stats to support what's going on, and try to kind of take the emotions out of it when I'm talking with my clients. It just is. So for instance, right now on the East Side, prices are down 5% since May. Mm-hmm. And when we price, we have to be really cognizant of not using comps that were even in March, April, May for sure. Those are going to be some artificial highs. And it's not getting defensive of it. I'm not powerful enough to make all of that. So it's just understanding the facts and the data and educating my clients so they can make those decisions based on data.
Yeah, and that's great, Sandi, because everything can be backed by stats, data, and facts, and then also bringing in the history, right? And kind of foreseeing, because every challenge, there's an opportunity on the other side. And so it's helping our clients understanding what the benefit is right now with what might seem that there's a challenge that wasn't here maybe before, right?
Exactly. And also it's, like I've found myself guilty of confirmation bias. I had always preached that, or not preached, but believed that September was a fantastic listing month because I thought buyers were more active than they were in August. And I've looked back at the last 2 years, and turns out there's more listings in September and pendings are down slightly, whereas August listings are down a little bit and pendings are up a little bit. So it's just making sure too that history, you really are looking at things with a fresh eyes and trying to be curious and unbiased too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that mindset of with the change and looking at, okay, let's go back to the data, let's go back to the stats, take a look at what's happening and why, and adjusting your conversations and the information you're providing to your buyers and sellers based on what's happening right now. And that's what an industry leader does. That's what the top 1% does, is they're constantly changing the conversations that they're having based on what's happening right now, not what happened yesterday. Because I think a lot of people get stuck in the dialogue that they've been saying for so long, and they're not changing, right? They're stuck there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that. Great advice, Sandy, for the real estate agents that are listening here today. So, Sandy, how important is family support in your business? Because with the amount of business that you do and you've consistently done since you've been in the industry, you've been a top producer, how does your family play into that?
It's absolutely huge. From day one, my kids were really little when I got into real estate. I think they were like 1 and 3. So they couldn't really help yet. But my husband, we had somebody come in to chat with us who was a real estate agent and explain to us what it took. So we used to joke around that I had an outcome instead of an income. So I went from contributing financially to our household to taking away for a little bit. And having my husband's support during that time, I couldn't have done it without him, because I needed that space and that support. And then as the years went on, my kids got older. If I was working on a weekend, the boys would come in and they would clean out my car to get my car ready. So just all of the little support. And that is slowly, now my husband is actually on my team and doing kind of, we call him My Guy Friday. He's boots on the ground, helping with listing prep. And it was interesting because he's been watching me do this forever. And within a couple months of him really truly seeing behind the scenes, he looks at me and he goes, "There's a lot to your job." Yeah. And it's just, even though you think that he knew, he didn't quite know. And having him help me now, it just from just taking that off my plate. But also, I have more listings now than I've ever had. And I truly believe it's because I have him in that role. Yeah. And it's opened up like the energy, or whatever you want to call it, where I can handle more and I can help clients in a different way. And so now I've got more of that business.
Yeah, that is great, Sandy. Definitely, I heard you say you've got to have buy-in. So you have to really talk to your significant other. You have to talk to your kids, people that are depending on you. You have to have their buy-in, and then it's up to you individually to make a decision and how that's going to work for you as a family. And if that buy-in isn't there, then you've got to make a decision what type of volume you want to do and if you're in the right industry, right? Because ultimately our family is most important. And so they have to agree with what we're doing. And so figure out how you can have those hard conversations. If it's not working with you, and it's not a hard conversation, it's a necessary conversation. If you're stressed because you are feeling that you're feeling guilty because you're not spending the time with your family or your kids, you need to have those conversations and make a decision on whether or not this business is for you, or what type of business you want to do and how you want to structure that. And we've talked before on the show with you, Sandi, the importance of having a team as well in supporting you through that process. So yeah, great advice. All right, coming up next on Best in Seattle Real Estate Podcast, continuing conversation with Sandi Tampa, Sandi Tampa Real Estate, Windermere.
So how do you choose your mortgage professional partner when referring your buyers? Tina Mitchell, 145-420, is passionate about her career in the mortgage industry because of the challenges her family faced keeping a roof over their heads. She played her violin with her little sister at Pike Place Market as street performers to help their parents pay the bills. This was a traumatic experience for her, but drove her to work hard and realize the success she has today. Tina purchased her first home when she was 20, and this gave her a sense of pride and security that her parents did not have. Helping others reach their dreams of home ownership is rewarding to Tina. Tina has been in the mortgage industry for over 25 years and has been recognized in the top 1% nationwide. For more information on how Tina is helping her buyers stand out next to their competition, go to tinamitchellteam.com. That's tinamitchellteam.com.
Welcome back to Best in Seattle Real Estate Podcast, sponsored by Hubbard Radio Seattle. I'm your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Continued conversation with Sandi Tampa of Sandi Tampa Real Estate Bellevue. Are you a real estate agent looking for that one thing to take your business to new heights? Sandi is here to motivate you to be your best. You will learn what she is doing and how you can implement her best practices into your real estate business. Today, Sandi is sharing her strategies and mindset needed to be the best in the industry. Sandi is here to inspire other real estate agents to level up their real estate business. Sandi, thank you again for being here with me today.
Of course. And quick, I don't think I properly thanked you. I had the luxury of having Tina as a lender on when I was representing the seller. And that was such a great experience. And it made my job so easy because I knew I didn't need to worry about first of all, I knew I didn't need to worry about anything, but your proactive communication clearly made that so. So thank you for that. That was a treat. I wish they could all be like that.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandi. I really appreciate the shout out for sure. So Sandi, how do you stay current and up to date in your business?
Yeah. So it's, real estate is dynamic. It is changing week to week, day to day. I mean, day to day is a little dramatic. You can't react that quickly. So, first of all, coming into the office, which is where I am now, I am in my physical Windermere, Bellevue South office. And, when you live it, breathe it, touch it, so being here really helps. I'm a fan of Keeping Current Matters. They have great resources they do an update every Monday morning at 8 a.m. And I watch that, and that just really helps me kind of from a nationwide standpoint. And then I just dig into stats, as well as we have our office meetings where we talk about things, but we also have here at Bellevue South, we call it Friday Refresh. And it's where agents get together and we talk, and it's just kind of experiencing it. Yeah. So when I get back from vacation, I'm always a little, not just, it's not hard to get into things, but you've missed what's been going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's important. I mean, if you look at the best of the best, and again, that's what Sandi is and what this show is about, they're continued with their education. They're always looking for the information needed to continue to level up their game, and paying for experts, and I as well pay for the best economists to hear what's happening in the mortgage industry and, interest rates. And so listening to people and bringing in the data of what's happening in the industry so you can stay up to date. And I love how you talked about going into the office, you're around people, you're around other real estate agents, you're going to the things that the office are including so you can have that camaraderie, right? So that's great. So Sandi, how do you deal with the question around your compensation and commissions, because there's a lot of things that have been happening in the industry around that. So I think agents that are listening right now are still trying to find that place of how to have that conversation around your compensation.
Yeah, I mean, compensation certainly is front and center with a big spotlight on it, but I've had to talk about compensation since day one. So these are not new conversations. On the buyer side, I always would talk about my compensation as well. So this isn't anything that's necessarily new for me. There's some new twists on it, but I welcome the changes, which is great, and I think we're really well prepared. But when I talk about my compensation, first of all, I think when people ask about your compensation, I think 80% of it is curiosity. I think we as agents think that they're trying to come after our money, and sometimes they are. But I think more often than not, it's that that the consumer wants to really understand. And I also put it in the context of um I like to get paid for my work, and everybody believes that they should be paid for their work. At least if they don't, then I'm probably not the right agent for them. I like to keep my volunteer work to volunteerism, and I like food with my meals. So I kind of keep it light like that.
I love that.
And I also, from the buy side, I break down. I think there's a misconception that people do the math of whatever percent of the sale price that's going in my pocket, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So I have to break down what Windermere get. Well, I don't have to, but I illustrate, kind of what my take home pay is from that, plus factoring in taxes. I'm an independent contractor. I have no health benefits. I have no paid time off. It's funny when sometimes with my buyer clients, when I walk through that, they're like, "Why do you do it?" So, it can absolutely be lucrative, but there's economies of scale, but the money isn't what it seems, first of all. So helping people understand that. But I also truly believe I earn every penny that I get through my negotiation, through my advocacy, through my knowledge, and just having their back and talking them through, helping empower them to make a great decision.
Yeah, that is great advice, Sandy. And if you're listening to the show right now, if you ever have a conversation that you have something in your gut that's like, oh, I just really don't want to open up that conversation. You need to have those conversations because that's something important. And I love, Sandy, how it's like, yeah, compensation and having a conversation around that. It's nothing new. I've always done that. And a couple of key takeaways that I heard Sandy talk about is really breaking down that income. And even if you're not breaking it down dollar per dollar, this percentage goes to the company and this percentage, just saying that, I don't get all of it. A percentage goes to my company. I don't have health insurance. I pay for, just having that conversation. I think that's great so that they have an understanding of that. And also in, one sheet, and really not a one sheet, but, it's probably 3 sheets of the 155 things that you do just on the buy side or the listing side, whichever's represented. And of course, you're not going to go through with your buyer or seller 155 things that you do or whatever that number is, but you're going to give them that sheet, right? And just this is everything that I do. And most people don't understand all of the things that are happening behind the scenes to make sure that we have a successful transaction happening from open to close, right, Sandy?
100%. Even my husband, who's been watching me do it for 18
Yeah, you
years,
just said
didn't
it, yeah.
know everything that is involved. That is something that I am not the best at articulating. So
Yeah.
hopefully the listeners can are better at that than I am.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably even more than 155. So collect that, data and give that one sheet to your clients. So Sandy, how important is it to your success to have a team? We've talked about your husband and his role, how he's stepped in and has been, is helping on the team as well. How important is that in, the 18 plus years that you've been doing real estate?
Yeah, so my team is everything. So it is, and I also have an operations manager. I have a fantastic front office staff as well. The seat behind me is an intern. She just had her last day, college intern. That was great. But when I have those people supporting me, and I also have a licensed agent who helps me out, and I'm still trying to figure everything out. Um, but when I have people helping me, it gives me the mind share where I can start being more creative. I can lean into creating a better customer experience. I can prospect more. I can do more of that kind of rainmaking activity, but then I can also create systems and processes to help us be more scalable. And it's also just more fun. This can be a really lonely business.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my core practices is embracing my strengths and hiring out my weaknesses. You can't be great at everything.
No.
If you've never heard of the DISC profile, you need to take the DISC profile, and absolutely you need to put anybody you hire through it, because your DI, which is the top of the disc profile, are typically our roles. They're the sales role, and they're out there, the rainmakers, as you said, Sandy. And your CS, those are the support roles. So if you're hiring somebody like you, like a junior, Sandy talked, she's got a licensed real estate agent. Well, they need to be more in the DI. They need to be like Sandy. But the support roles that you talked about, they're more in the SC roles. They do not want to do what you do, and they love doing what you don't love doing because you're a DI. Most of the time, that's how it works in the difference. And you've got, you've got a business and you've got the process of the business. You need to be running the business, and your team runs the process, right? And keeps things going. So team is critically important. I've had people ask me before, when do you know it's time to hire somebody? And I say, when you ask yourself the question, should I hire somebody? You should have actually hired somebody yesterday. Now is the time to make that hire if you're asking yourself that question. So great advice, Sandy. Well, Sandy, thank you again for being on the show today. It's always a pleasure to have this quality time with you and to interview you and to get your conversation out to other real estate agents that are looking to do better in their real estate business. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, Tina. It's always so fun and a pleasure.
Yeah. So to watch their video recording with Sandy or other industry leaders in the real estate space, you can go to bestinseattlerealestate.com, or you can catch my show on my YouTube channel. Tina Mitchell, your host and your local mortgage expert, making a difference in the industry, one show and one interview at a time. Until next time.
Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited. The views expressed by the speakers on the preceding program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited.